गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गना शॉट। गना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। टुडे वी आर गोइंग टू टॉक ऑफ a reset, the India-US reset, which has come into doubt. And to discuss all this with me is, and with in fact all of us, is Brig Arun Sahgal. Let me first welcome him. Sir, good evening and welcome to Gana Shot. We are meeting after a long time.
Yeah.
It's great to be with you.
Yes, thank you, sir. It's good to be back on the show and share some thoughts and ideas with you and have a good discussion.
Yes, sir. We'll have a great discussion. Those of you who are listening, we are discussing this after Mr. Trump spoke to his dear friend, Mr. Modi. And we thought things were okay. And we also thought, the trade, the team had come here, the trade representative from USA had come to Delhi, spoke. A lot of things had sorted out and all that. But after that, four developments have taken place. And all four developments are retrograde to taking the India-US deal forward in a logical manner, right? You can go in fact, I feel it's going in the reverse direction. So first we'll have a look at these four issues and then we'll take a call and we'll discuss each of these and then we'll see where the whole story is going. So first is Chabahar Port. We all know that Chabahar Port, USA had given waivers on sanctions on Iran and operation of Chabahar Port from 2018. Yesterday they just cancelled it. And this was done with the, I would say with full knowledge of USA in discussion with USA so that we get an alternate route into Afghanistan, which circumvents Pakistan. Then today the bombshell early morning, the H-1B visa goes with a price tag of 100,000 dollars, right? Something which even the people who are going to employ all these guys will not be able to, cough up. That's the general consensus which is coming out of USA. And 70% of H-1B visa quota is all Indians. And all these youngsters who are going to USA to study and work there and working for the big tech, industry in USA, they're all going to be hit. It's going to be a major hit for many issues with India. Then, of course, not connected with this, but actually very deeply connected with the India-US ties. Mr. Trump has had a talk with Xi Jinping. And that is a docile talk, and we'll go through what he spoke. It was as if it was a very conciliatory talk, as if it's a supplicatory talk. Okay. Actually, if you look at it, step back, Trump is actually pleading with Putin and Xi Jinping at one level. If you look at it, it's not like a great superpower of the world, make a great America great again kind of a thing. Then, of course, this Pak-Saudi deal. It's my belief, and I'm sure Arun Sahgal also will talk about it. The Pak-Saudi deal couldn't have gone through without US connivance or US okay. Saudis couldn't have done this, nor could Pakistanis have concluded this deal without this connivance. And the more you look at it, it's more like that. But all this goes against India-US relations. And now I'll give what was a talk between Xi Jinping and Trump. He said, look, I just completed a very productive call with President Xi of China. We made progress on very many important issues, including trade, fentanyl, the need to bring the war between Russia and Ukraine to an end, the approval of the TikTok deal. I also agreed with President Xi that we would meet at the APEC summit in South Korea, that I would go to China in early part of next year, and that President Xi would likewise come to the United States at an appropriate time. The call was a very good one, and we will be speaking again by phone. Appreciate the TikTok approval. Both look forward to meeting at the APEC. ये तो उसको यार, it's as if कि भैया मान जाओ मेरा, that's the kind of a talk, and this is appears as probably a precursor to a G2 kind of a situation, right? Complete. It's got the full potence of a G2 kind of a situation, and so where does that leave India? Where does that leave India-US ties? This is the issue which we are going to discuss today. With this, sir, your views. Please take on.
Thank you very much for this excellent introduction. Uh, Let me make a couple of points. The first point is that every day we are looking at an assault by the American administration on one issue or the other to cripple the Indian economy. While you have raised these four issues, there has been a bill introduced in the Senate which is trying to put, in addition to the duties that have been put on India, 50%, 25 by 25, a 40% new shrimp tax. As if everything else was not there, the shrimps have now been also included in this whole issue. So the bottom line is, where are we going? Why is this happening? Why? What does America wants? What is America's perception of its global interests? Let me start with adding that there are two issues, or let's put it three issues, which is simultaneously occurring in our relationship. One is the geopolitics, the perception of the Trump administration, how the world is shaping up, and what it should do to deal with that world. The second issue is the economic. Tariffs are not tariffs. Tariffs are means to accumulate wealth by a tax collector, global tax collector, to safeguard his own economy, and nothing less or nothing more. And the third issue is the whole idea of this whole issue of immigration and the Indian diaspora's role in the American establishment. The way American diaspora, Indian diaspora, has become the central focus of all their technical as well as even intellectual arena where they are excelling, that is something going against this MAGA movement. This gentleman called Mr. Kirk was deadly against. I mean, he was sowing poison among people about the role of the Indian diaspora. So, so what exactly is Trump administration is up to? Let's take the geopolitical factor first. Like he rightly said, that the his attempts at resolving the Ukraine conflict have not succeeded. A summit was held in Alaska, promises were made, perceptions were given that things are going to sort itself out. There would be some kind of a ceasefire. There would be some kind of a give and take. But the bottom line is that nothing has moved forward. If at all, the atmosphere is becoming more hostile. Russia is carrying out its operations against Ukraine. The European Union and Americans are not seeing eye to eye on the issue of how to proceed further. In short, the situation is that Ukraine conflict is becoming more of a frozen conflict. Now, I wouldn't say frozen conflict, but a slow burning conflict with no end in sight. It's a frustration for the American president who did all this with great degree of bombastic announcements that within 24 hours or 72 hours I will have a resolution. And he feels cheated by the Putin. So there is this new cabinet ministers in United States and part of the mega deep state who believe that India can be used as a leverage against Russia. And therefore, if we punish India, then it will be we will be reaching out to the Russians, because Russians and Indians are very close. Now, this is one of the logics of the whole idea of a punitive uh, this is tariffs on India, and also to coerce India. Is a pure, simple, straightforward coercion tactic being employed by the Trump administration against India. Number two, the issue now, the second issue is that for some time now, even before Trump administration came, there was a frustration about Indo-Russian military relationship. I was have presented papers at seminars in United States where closely questioned on the issue of our relationship with Russia. Our answer was very simple. India maintains a multifaceted defense partnerships and defense relationships. We have got no preferences of any country. We look at our needs and we go to a country from where we get, which supports our needs, and we all do transactional business. There cannot be anything other than that. We buy from United States, we buy from France, we buy from Russia, and we buy from Israel and buy from any other country. We buy even from Korea. K100, as you know, came from the technology came from Russia, from Korea. Sorry. So the issue basically is they want to have a weaning away effect. Why is this weaning away effect? Over the last 2 3 years, we have given an impression of having joined full blown the Western camp as a part of, at that time, the Biden, and earlier than that,
Trump's.
the Trump strategy of Chinese containment. So it is believed India was fine, dined and wined at the G7 summits. India was G20 was held in the great degree of fanfare, etc., etc., and therefore, and Quad was created. Quad was resurrected. India was brought into Quad. Uh, 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 the maritime initiatives were created. The economic IMEC was created. Then this whole issue of the trade partnership came about. So the idea basically was that India, in the perception of the American administration, as India had willy nilly become a camp follower. There are 53 dialogues going on with India. And we are offering them technologies. We are offering them a transfer of technology as far as 414 engines are concerned. We are giving them the state of the art equipment. But therefore, India must. Then came the articles written by analysts of some standing within the United States uh, that India is not punching up to his weight. India is economically weak. India is credibility of his military power is not in consonance with what America expects from its partners, which is a joke, considering that the allies of Americans are, other than India in Indo-Pacific, are Japan, which is hardly a military power. The second is Korea, which is a limited power, and third is Australia, which again is even much lesser power than that. So the only credible power of the Americans in Indo-Pacific as a part of the Indo-Pacific initiative. So what I'm trying to say is that India was deemed by these analysts as not a credible power which serves the American interests, particularly as far as China containment strategy is concerned. And itself, the perception was that India is nowhere near the Chinese capacities and capabilities. China is much stronger. China can influence it, etc., etc. Having complete disregard to three factors. Factor number one, India is a strong, comprehensive power, which is also a nuclear player with a highly demonstrated nuclear capabilities, including intermediate range ballistic missile systems, as well as MOV systems, etc., which is the top of the line as far as any nuclear other player in the region is concerned. Number two, we had withstood, and ensured the credibility of our line of actual control for 4.5 years, in which enforced the Chinese to seek a negotiated settlement. The third issue is, insofar as the American partners in the Indo-Pacific are concerned, they are nowhere near in terms of credibility of power, at least the military power or hard power, in relation to India. What is Japan? What is Korea? What is Australia? So this is a convoluted logic which is being created for two purposes. One purpose is that it allows America to downgrade the Indo-Pacific construct, downgrade the Quad construct, play it along. It's not the first meeting after he took over was held of Quad. That's okay. This play it along kind of a scenario. And the second and the more important thing is to send a message to the Chinese that, hey, we are not sold on to India. India is not really as credible a partner to Chinese containment. So because they are now looking for a deal, as has been brought out by General Shankar in the statement made by President Trump, that they are throwing India under the bus as far as its relationship with China is concerned. So the issue from the American perspective is, particularly this establishment's thinking is that India, US-India relations can be allowed to be downgraded for the moment, while they resolve their differences and come to some kind of a conclusion of a relationship with China, but PRC, or based on economic and technological considerations that they are looking for. They believe that this is an important aspect. They are also looking at this whole issue in terms of trade deals with China, because they understand that even if the Americans were to deny China the trade, Chinese have adequate trade with Europe and the rest of the world to be able to survive, and they will not create any degree of dent. So therefore, if you notice, I mean, we are all aware of the fact that the Americans dare not impose any punitive tariff like 25% on India, and they have retained the basic tariff for 30% on the Chinese. So this is the geopolitical aspect of this thing. The second related geopolitical aspect is that they are looking at the whole structural aspect of the challenge that is being posed by the China and Russia, or what we call as a CRINC. As CRINC manifests itself into a major player, the Americans are worried that this may create a degree of instability in the Gulf and the Middle East, where they are our only power, and if the CRINC becomes a credible player, they can undermine it. And this was conveyed by no other than a senior Pakistani general who was discussing the the Saudi Arabia Muslim Pakistan Defense Pact, when he categorically said, it's all about China. It's all about China. So Pakistan is front-ending China to allow China an access to Saudi Arabia, and and also there is a perception within the Arab world that the American position is weakening over here, particularly on account of Israel and the kind of genocide that Israel is doing, and as a result of which they need a contra elements to be positioned in the region, and that is being done through this pact, because rightly he said
Yes.
What can Pakistan offer? Pakistan can now offer a division or two divisions. What are those two divisions worth in this region, and what are they going to achieve? Then they talk about the Houthis. Then they talk about the Israelis. The Israelis is an air power country. They, I mean, the fact of the matter is that there is the uh, the Saudis dare not fight or stand against the Israelis, if despite all the military power and influence that they have. So the question they say is similarly in Southeast Asia, in economic terms, Americans are losing out. They have no standing in America, in Southeast Asia, and in economic terms. The tariffs which they have imposed on Indonesia, the tariffs which they have imposed on Vietnam, they are too exorbitant for these countries to be economically viable. Coming to South Asia, now that has become a new area of influence by the uh, Americans. The area of influence is now what we are seeing is that Americans are in discussions with an Afghan government, Taliban Afghan government, which is not recognized by the United States, for Bagram base, for retaking the Bagram base. And when these leaks come out, and at that stage that the leaks come out, you can be rest assured some kind of a deal has already been struck. Now, Americans are now getting interested to ensure that this new quad of crink that is coming about does not become so strong to undermine its interests in the region, provide a flip to Iran, okay, and therefore they want to insert themselves not only in terms of influence through Pakistan, through cryptocurrency and oil which doesn't exist, etc., but they want a physical presence, and that physical presence is being given on the background so as to, and please note the influence that will have. A Bagram base, United States base in Bagram is sandwiched between Pakistan on one side, Iran on the other, and in the north, the Central Asia, an area from which Americans have lost their presence. The Americans have no continental Asian presence till now. The Bagram will give them that. So these games are being played, and India is getting caught up into these issues. The next we come to the tariff business. Before that, if you have any questions for me, I'm willing to answer, or we can have a discussion on any of the points you feel are important.
Right. So I'm okay with whatever you said. In fact, there's no doubt at all in what you said. And don't you think the focus of USA has shifted away from the Indo-Pacific into Central Asia?
A good
There's a
point, sir.
discernible shift,
Yeah.
right? And the reasons why I say this is multiple. I mean, let me put this because I think this needs to be understood.
Yes, absolutely.
You
I'm sorry I
know,
covered it.
this chap, the new ambassador who's appointed here, you know, Sergey Gore,
Sergio
he's been
Gore.
appointed as the ambassador to India and a special envoy to the Central and South Asia. He's not in Southeast Asia. That's gone. So Why does Trump needs a special envoy to Central Asia and South Asia? Because his focus is here, and this chap is supposed to have a direct line to Trump. That's the
Okay.
first point.
Hmm.
The second point is concerning the switch to Central Asia and all that. What I'd like to highlight is, 2 months back, if you remember, the commander of the Central Command of USA came to Pakistan, held a meeting with the military chiefs of all the Central Asian republics,
Hmm.
along with Asim Munir.
Hmm.
And they had a conference for one day, and it was only after that that fellow Michael Kurila, he was given a medal by
Hmm.
Pakistan. And then, of course, there's a lot of bonhomie because Asim Munir went for a second time to USA, had for his dining out and all that. And now again he's going back there, right? So there, and this, after this, the Bagram Air Base comes. So you see the whole thing, coming in sequence. First the meeting, then the appointment of ambassador, then the Bagram Air Base coming, then the Saudi Pak deal. Though some section of Pakistan feels that this deal is to get China in, but I think this deal is being facilitated by USA. And basically, USA needs Pakistan to maintain anything at Bagram because they're not going to overfly Iran. And the only way to get to Bagram is only through Pakistan. So Bagram becomes important, then Pakistan becomes important for them, and hence Pakistan, right? And then this deal, because I think they want to put Israel in its place in some backhand manner. So if you see all this, there's a discernible shift. And you also see Elbridge Colby, who was in charge of the Indo-Pacific affairs. Initially, he came in with a lot of fanfare. Now he is just not heard at all. Now, the third aspect to this is that you see the activities in Bangladesh. Some military activity in Bangladesh has started for the past 3, 4 months. First, it was the humanitarian corridor. Then the deputy commander of the Pacific Command came here, and he had met the chief of Bangladesh Army. Now it is reported that about 100 soldiers have landed there to do an exercise. So, and the envoy who's coming here is a special envoy to Central Asia and South Asia. So you see these linkages which are developing. Don't you think this whole story is switching here? And in this entire story switch which is happening, there is a very discernible way to suppress India, like you rightly said, and sideline India. And keep India under the pump so that India cannot act on its own. I mean, I see a larger game. This H1B, who are
Okay.
all the roots to that larger game.
Okay, so the point which you're making is absolutely important. It's important in the sense is that United States has suddenly found South Asia as an important conduit for a number of things. It wants to ensure that it has a certain degree of presence and relationship with the Pakistani government, and Assam Munir and party are being made are being wined and dined for this particular purpose. And they want to ensure that the Pakistan has its love fest with the Chinese, but that love fest does not, under any circumstances, undermine lack of trust of Pakistan. And the fact is that Iranian nuclear issue remains a red line for the Americans as well as for their colleagues Israelis. The Bagram base is being developed. Rightly mentioned, the incoming American ambassador is a special representative for both Central Asia as well as uh, uh, Central Asia as well as
And Central and South Asia.
Central and South Asia. So basically, the American are rejuvenating their interests post Afghanistan to ensure that this region, which is now becoming extremely volatile and will now become even more volatile, uh, with Pakistan offering a nuclear guarantee
Saudis.
to Saudi Arabia, which in itself is something which has to be understood, analyzed in detail as to what consequences of which, although I think it's more of grandstanding than anything very serious, but the fact of the matter is which we cannot overlook it. And third issue is you rightly talked about Bangladesh, and add to Bangladesh the China American investments and interests in Myanmar. So what we are looking at, American presence both on the east and the west of India, and also there have been certain commitments made in terms of Millennium Fund to the Nepalese government. So, in an article which we wrote for the national interest, we had said that why is America so much interested in India's backyard, And if Americans has interest in India's backyard, they must act in consultation with India, or with cooperation with India, because we are supposed to be strategic partners. This issue of strategic partners have been completely given go by. This is something which we need to understand. The Americans are acting on their own in all these areas, and without a consideration for India, and without any consultation with India. Now, what will happen is, when the American ambassador comes over here, he will have the ears of the Pakistanis, he will have the ears of the Central Asians, he will have the ears of Bangladeshis, and then he will come to the Indian officials and say, I have had this, I have had this, and pass all kinds of messages to his mentors in DC, and convey or muddy the waters of South Asia. Now, this is something which we need to take cognizance of. The second element which you raised was Indo-Pacific. There is a clear absence of interest in Indo-Pacific. Haxat's statement during the Shanghai summit, Shanghai meeting,
Yes, sir. That recent defense thing which happened in China,
yeah,
Xinjiang, something like that. Yeah.
no, not that one. I'm talking about in the Shanghai dialogue in Singapore. He categorically stated that we expect our partners to look after their defense, spend more money on their defense, and if they at all they have problems, the America will step in. There is no cohesive, collusive, as was trying to be created by the Biden administration, which was creating a set of multilaterals and minilaterals to create a strong security architecture in the Indo-Pacific. Now, that is missing at this point in time. Secondly, yesterday a statement has been made by the South Koreans that we do not uh, rely on the United States for security or China for economics, and we will deal with North Korea on our own. Similarly, similar sentiments are being expressed in Japan, who are also fed up with the Americans, and they are very clear that the Americans are not going to support them when the push comes to shove. And this whole issue is again based on the extended deterrence. The logic of extended deterrence is in the nuclear paradigm is so convoluted that nobody even buys it. I mean, nobody spends 5 minutes to even say, and nobody's going to go to a nuclear war for a second country. So the issue basically is right now is this: Asia is free floating. Asia has no security architecture of consequence. Asians, American allies are in a state of bewilderment as to what is happening. India has been left on its own, rightly so. India can manage itself, India can manage its immediate environment. But that's not okay. India's economic growth is now being attacked by the United States through regressive tariffs and multiple new uh, this thing sanctions being applied on us to basically to browbeat us to not one is the Russian issue. The second issue is, like it was mentioned in some of the recent writings, is push India to become a surrogate or a connive or a partner of United States for its own survival and for its own benefit. So this is the logic that is being coming out and out of this whole issues. Now coming to trade, as far as trade is concerned, the reality of the situation is that the trade deal was done in July. There was everything was on the table. It only had to be signed. What happened? Why did it not go through? The reason is basically is this: the broader geopolitical frustrations and the and the smartness of the cabinet ministers, particularly the economic cabinet ministers of the new United States government, to try and push India to give more and more uh, concessions, and also on top of that to leverage the Russians for a ceasefire. So this is whole how the whole thing is being played out. Even now, as we are talking about trade, our team is going next week. I believe most of the issues have been sorted out. The decision, I want to tell our listeners, the decision is will not be based on any economic or commercial consideration as our commerce minister believes. It will be a function of a political decision as to how the American administration looks at India. The third element of the American administration basically on India is that India is occupying Indian people of Indian origin who either have settled in the United States or on H-1B visas are occupying important positions in the technological sector and are the driving force of the new technologies in the United States. The Indians are there not because somebody are doing them a favor. The Indians are there because the Americans simply do not have the capacity or the expertise to fill in those jobs. I was at an international meeting where the TCS person was there, an American. He said that we had applied for 20 jobs, 2,000 Americans applied for it, and we couldn't hire anyone. They simply did not fill the bill. The Americans have to look inside. They have to look from inside and look at their own status. Why is it that they have to import manpower and technical manpower at such high levels from outside? Why is it that the Americans cannot fit the bill? So this is an important issue that we need to flag. And my next issue, which I want to highlight, is this whole issue of defense partnership. My submission to my government is no doubt we should do business with United States, but that business must be done with eyes open. We should be very clear that we will get no technologies of consequence. 80% technology transfer on 414 engine, even if it's signed, delivered, and we start producing. Please remember that 20% technology, which is not being given to you, is the most crucial technology, without which you cannot proceed. Similarly, I also asked a question to a lot of my colleagues in the military as well as to the American interlocutors. Do we own any of the equipment that we buy from you? We have purchased it, we have paid for it, but do we own it? The answer is yes or no. The reason is why. We don't have the software codes, we can't upgrade it. And for any upgradation, we have to go back to the American system, which goes through the whole rigmarole of the regulatory systems. I have been part of a trilateral technology cooperation initiative. We talked about emerging technologies. We identified those emerging technologies. We have had ISET in India, but the question remains is this. Question remains is this: how much of those technologies is willing to be part? Because our country has to understand that technologies are crown jewels. Yeah? I mean, you spend a lot of money and effort in developing technologies. You don't part with them for a couple of $1,000s, etc. Except in our case, where under the IDEX program, the young startups are coming up, but unfortunately, the work being done up by these young startups, it gets caught up in our procedure oriented acquisition processes, and the result is these young producers, out of sheer frustration, go and give up, sign up with the American conglomerates and give them the technology and the IPRs purely to survive. They get them $1.5 million, $2 million. That's it. So they're happy with it. But the question basically is this: is that the programs that we have identified and the work that we are doing under the ISET, etc., etc., we had to put our heart hand on our heart and say what has been produced for India and what has India gained out of this.
Zero. Let me
So,
let me put it, sir.
so the point I'm
Sorry
trying
to
to make. No, sorry, no, go ahead, please.
sorry to interrupt you, but so far what we have got out of ISET or anything with USA is zero. We've got nothing out of them.
Exactly the point. So no, I'm simply trying to say is yes, they gave us equipment, they gave us this thing, but we paid for it, yeah. And now look at PAI is what they're trying to do. They're doubling the price, yeah. I mean, are we sitting in a bazaar? I mean, you are selling. I'm a seller. You are a buyer. I'll sell you at my cost. And promptly the team comes to India and say we'll negotiate. I mean, there has to be some limit to this. So the point I'm trying to make is this: is we have to be very clear in in the totality of our relationship. A lot of colleagues, a lot of senior guys, a lot of people with experience with working with the United States, etc. I have had a limited experience from a think tank as well as meeting some officials at the government levels. My perception basically is this: we have to do stock taking and find out what have we got, what we need to do, and then take a call of the status of our relationship, because we are reaching a stage of criticality. The stage of criticality basically means this: either because we are being pilloried every day by new sanction or the other, we have to take a call at some time. Do we accept all this? Do we bend, or we fight back? Or how do we fight back? We have been patient so far. In fact, I just had a team from one of the leading think tanks in the US who came and met me. They said their observation was nobody's India is abusing Americans. I said nobody's going to abuse you here. Then nobody's going to abuse you, but we'll do what we need to do. And that's why I try to explain to him as to how, particularly in the field of defense, the Atam Nirbharta is working in our favor. We got everything going. We got hypersonics. We got long-range cruise missiles. We are putting 35 more satellites for our NAVIC program. We are doing all kinds of things. It's going to take time. Sure, it's going to take time. But thanks to you, our procedural issues, our long-term decisions, like we are clearing up this 75I program. We are clearing up the 114 aircraft program. We are now pushing ourselves. You are allowing us to push ourselves into a field that we were lackadaisical. You have taken away our lackadaisicalness. Thanks to you. Thank you very much. Now we are going to push forward. India is going to push forward. We're going to push forward in critical technologies also. We already created a semiconductor. So point I'm trying to make is the United States should not live under a belief that they can coerce India into acceptance and they can play India against China and play against India against Russia. That will not work. India is a strong, credible, self-respecting civilizational power, and we shall not bend. We are willing to do business on an equitable basis, on a rational basis, but you cannot use your office and keep signing all kinds of executive orders against India and say that, and yet the next day you make a statement, we are close partners, etc., etc., etc. It doesn't work like that. I'll stop here, sir.
Right, sir. I've long held this view that look, China is not our friend and USA is not our enemy. So, Is USA trying to become our enemy? Or do we still have to go to it and make deals with them? Are we at a point, at this point, the way things are going, that we say, okay, there's no difference between what China is trying and what USA is trying, and we start dealing with them on equal footing? One, of course, is a long-term problem with us. It's our neighbor, and we have a different problem with them. But with USA, a different kind of a problem is coming on the horizon. Many people might think this is temporary, but it might settle into some kind of permanence. So, how do we deal with USA hereafter? Because I think my own view is that the strategic partnership died long back. You only have a relationship at this point of time. With each passing day and each passing sanction, that relationship is becoming adversarial. So, where do we stand in this whole games?
Okay. So first and foremost is we should drop the word United States being our most consequential partner. Is United States has lost that privilege, at least from Indian perspective. United States, we have to do business with United States. United States is the most important country in the world. It has economic power, controls levers, etc., etc. We do not want to have enmity with the United States. So we will do business with the United States as much as we can do, as much as we can do with the kind of tariffs he is imposing on us. I mean, and secondly is we are smart enough, we are capable enough, we'll find other avenues of doing business. If we have to do business with China, we'll do business with China. If we have to do business with Indonesia, we'll do business with Indonesia. If we want to do business with Saudi Arabia, we'll do business with Saudi Arabia. But the question basically is this thing is, are we going to make United States as our enemy? No. We still want to do businesses. The interesting facet of our relationship is as every day the bombs are thrown at us or the stones are being thrown at us, there are equally other actions are taking place. There is an exercise which is going on in Alaska where about 100 Indian soldiers are taking part. There was this team from Pentagon which has come and discussing the pricing of P8Is. There are four and five. There another gentleman who came representing President Trump. I will not name him, who came here and he was discussing the political dynamics of the relationship. So, at one level, every day new tariffs, new stones are being thrown at us. Yet at other levels, this is carrot and stick policy that the carrots are being given to us through various instruments. The incoming ambassador is also all what good a good relationship with India, but yet he turns around and says you should not buy the Russian oil, you should not buy the American Russian weapons. I mean, what kind of messages are you giving? From my take of Indo-US relationship is that we should put Indo-US relationship in a sort of a slow burner. We deal with the situation as they happen. We do not want to break up relationship, but we should not be over enthusiastic about things improving in the near term. These scars are not going to go away anytime soon. Anytime, even if things improve, India will be not doing itself justice if it forgets about this period of 2025 or 2026 as long as it carries on. It will not do itself justice. We cannot forget this period. So if we have to we have to have a reasonable relationship with the United States. Like we have all, despite the fact we had a 4.5 year standoff with the Chinese, we did business with the Chinese, and we had a $125 billion trade with them. True, correct. So similarly, we have to deal with United States as much as we can do, as much as we can manage within the kind of trade barriers that have been constructed for us, as much we can manage at the geostrategic new elements that are being, or let's say new geostrategic hurdles that are being put for us. India will manage, India will do what it has to do and continue building our own capacity and capabilities. For India, it's important to create its own leverages, because leverages alone, as we are seeing in the case of the Chinese, will only leverages will work. You will be respected for the credibility of your economic, technological, scientific, military power. That's the
So,
only rational.
yeah, I completely agree with you. Isn't it time for us to also start a similar carrot and stick policy with USA's?
I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I think we should wait out couple of more months, 1 or 2. Let's hit till the Christmas, and we'll see how far they go. But I personally believe that something has to give, and it's not India which is going to give.
Yeah, that I'm very sure, sir. There's no question of India giving. There's no question of India giving in. I mean, the way I look at it, I thought, I mean, this is my view, sir, that we've waited for far too long. It's time we showed them some cards to say, look, we also have these. And I'll not spell them out here because that might create its own dynamics, but we have cards which we can play out.
We can.
So, is there a case instead of playing a card, just show them the card and say, look, this is what can happen?
I think I think we should. I personally feel within about a month's time, things will start improving. That's my belief, but not the way things are going at this moment. But uh, the bomb of 100,000 H-1B visa tariff is something which will have its own dynamics, which will create a situation which will make America realize that 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 how dependent it is on the international or Indian technical power and prowess.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
I mean, the way I look at it, it's time we start
and
twisting it
and
out.
and here my humble request to my own friends is that it's okay even if you don't have a job in America. It doesn't matter. America is becoming too costly anyway. It doesn't matter. The second issue is the kind of political system that is emerging, the war between the liberals and the right wingers. It is creating such a horrendous atmosphere. There is there is no rule of law left in the United States. And if there is no rule of law left in the United States, what are you doing over there? Why do you want to put your life in jeopardy? Come back. The country needs you, and you can
Yeah.
help the country improve. So my my humble submission is we must not get unnecessarily worried about loss of jobs in the United States, what will happen to our diaspora, etc. Diaspora made a conscious choice. Okay, they made a conscious choice. Yes, India will do what it can do. It will do. It must do what it can do. But in the final analysis, it was the diaspora's choice. You did that, and if you are not welcome in a country of your residence, you have nothing to do. There's always home to come back to.
Yeah. I go with you completely, sir. I think that's the big message which we have to give to everyone who's watching. This 100,000 K on the H1B visa system is not the end of the world, and I think this is a time to flip things around. We have the capability. If all these people come back here, the whole thing will flip. And USA is too far committed in India to take a funny step that it will break all relations with India. America will collapse tomorrow. I have no doubt about it. Right. So I think we have to do this with a cool head. I'm sure people who are in the know of things, who are in the chair, will take a considered decision on all this.
Yes.
I'd like to thank Brigadier Sahgal for his wonderful, overview of what's going to happen and what's happening. Because when you look at the H-1B crisis in isolation, you look at Chabahar port in isolation, you look at the talk between Xi Jinping and Trump in isolation, you get you don't get the right picture. Today, what we've got is a full picture of what's going to happen between India and USA, and in the current geopolitical construct which is happening. That is more important to understand. It is not, like some people have said, oh no, we should go to China, no, we should stick with USA. Some people felt that, no, General Shankar is, relying on USA. No one relies on USA. Let's be very clear on this.
Yeah.
We have to work to our national interests. And there are already a lot of things afoot on this. I'd like to highlight a few issues to everyone so that people understand and we don't go away with the thing that we can't do anything against USA. Already that, which I've been saying, this is a macro point. See, there are 4, 5 big economic blocks in the world. One is USA. The second is EU. EU is a big bloc. Third is India. Fourth is China. And fifth is Japan, Korea. These are the 5 big blocks. Though Japan, Korea are not blocks by themselves, they're somewhere part of the American system, and now they're not fully part of that American system. They're working in a limbo apart from EU and America. So, given this, if two of these entities get together, the third and the fourth will stand out, right? And I see, like we all know, the India EU deal is going to go through. And that's the signal which we're getting from EU. That's the signal we also have very clearly that India and EU is going to go through a deal. And that deal is going to be finalized latest by February. In February, there is supposed to be a India-EU summit. If that happens, USA is out in the cold. Our H-1B visa people, it doesn't matter if they come back. We also have a deal with Japan that they want qualified skilled manpower. And they can just get going there. So I don't think this H-1B is a great thing. It might be counterproductive to USA. A lot of talent is what they lose. So I think we have a lot of things going for us. This is not a time. I still feel I go with what Brigadier Sahgal is saying. Maybe a month, two, we wait till other issues settle in. And don't rock the boat with USA. Let USA continue to do what it wants till it comes to a point where it realizes it can't do without India anymore. It is then that we will have the upper hand to do what we have to talk. Right? This is what I thought I'll put across to all of you. So thank you. I'll not take too many questions. I'll just take 1 or 2 questions which we answer.
Okay. Thank you.
One, I'd like to thank Kalyan Rao for his becoming a YouTube member. I'd also like to thank Akshay Iyer for becoming a member. And he says, please see physicist Michio's view on H1B in 2011. Akshay, I'll request you to give me the link, send the link and put the link in. I'll have a look at it. Then, of course, Akshay also says, sir, you are spot on. The CEO of Blackwater, who is MAGA, also takes care of Chinese interests in Burma. Trump wants a G2. So that's another issue which we will have to deal if Trump goes in for a G2. Right? So, yeah. Yeah, sir.
My only problem is Trump might want a G2, but
will-
what the Chinese are unfolding through GGI an alternative governance model,
Yeah.
taking global security, cultural, and other initiatives along with them, and they are sort of hanging them or they're putting them on the with the United Nations Charter. So so the whole idea what they're trying to do is hang them on the UN Charter and create a new global governance initiative which encompasses the global South and in the most countries of the Indo-Pacific, which are now getting disillusioned by United States. Basically, other than Atlantis Euro-Atlantic world, everybody else will become part of our global governance initiative. Here again, the idea which has been given has been that India will have a problem. India will have to make choices. Okay, leave the choices apart. There's also another issue. When the GGI comes up on and when they're gonna start working under the rubric of BRICS or the SCO, we'll see as things unfold. They will come up with the initiatives on AI. They will trade, and large number of these global initiatives will come into picture. Now, India has to be on the high table at those at that particular moment to be able to define space, trade, AI. A whole lot of these issues, India will have to be on the high table to be able to ensure that its interests are protected. You cannot allow other players to define the rules of the new game. So that's another point we have to take cognizance of. And here again, as things stand today, United States are not going to allow you into this. The AI rules are being made. They are being made. You are heard, but not nobody takes cognizance of. But here, being a part of the BRICS, being a part of the SCO, you will have a say, and you must be able to have that say and define the rules and not allow the Chinese to hijack the entire initiative. So this is also an important part of the part of diplomacy and politics, which we have to take cognizance of. So a lot of things are happening globally. It's not the American game or thing. It's a what they call a multilateral game, and so it's and we have to be a player in all these games. And we have not talked about strategic autonomy and and multilateral world order, and etc. But we have to be part and parcel of whatever initiatives are being taken. India has to be sitting on the high table, not as a bystander, but an active participant.
Yeah, I completely agree with you, sir. We are entering a so we'll leave it at this point of time. All I'll say to finish the whole thing for today is we are entering into a new paradigm, and the new paradigm has a lot of uncertainties. As much as today the uncertainties are with USA, equally we have major uncertainties with China. And it is between these two, and I don't think we have reconcilable uncertainties with either at this point of time. Both seem to be largely unreconcilable. So India has to find its own path, India has to find its middle path, and it has to find its own space. And in doing so, it has to continue to grow. This is the challenge in front of us. And we'll see how things unfold. And as things unfold, we'll come back for discussion on this very topic. Thanks a lot, sir, for this great
Thank
overview.
you,
I
sir.
thought,
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. God
right.
bless.
And with this, thanks a lot for everyone who's attended. If you like this video, do share it and like it, and also subscribe to Gunner Shot. With this, thank you, good evening, and Jai Hind to all of you.
Yeah. Thank you. God bless, sir.